Hey, welcome. I will show you today a little JavaScript lesson. We'll get into let, var, and const. Just a quick little lesson on doing some programming with variables and properties with JavaScript. But importantly, we'll go through some environments here and Node.js. So we'll show you how to code a little bit with JavaScript using the Node.js framework. And so what you do is, I'm showing you this all from scratch. So if you open up your VS Code and you're totally blank here, and I'm going to show you how to get going. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to use this command line here, and we're going to create a new file where we're going to initialize our Node.js stuff into. So the way you the way you do that is you run your PowerShell terminal. And so we'll cd into the file folder we want to use, which for me would be this users, because right now I'm sort of in my root directory, sort of. And I have a folder where I put a lot of my projects into called learning. Okay, and then from there we're going to create a new folder file thing. So what you do is you type in new dash item slash path dot slash name, the name of this folder we're going to have. It's going to be called JavaScript, or how about JS YouTube. The item type, it's a directory. It's a folder where we're going to have all kinds of other folders inside of. So I'm going to hit enter. Okay, so our PowerShell just made a new folder for us. And from here, I'm going to go over to this site here, nodejs.org. And this is where you're going to download the Node.js. Here, I guess. Yeah, you're going to download this. I guess we recommend this one. Either one. I'm actually not exactly sure which one I got. Maybe if I go here and I type in node dash version 18.61. Maybe I do have this one, the current one. Okay, so you're going to download this thing. And one thing I recommend is this website here. This tells you a little, like, step by step how to get a Node.js project going. And it tells you some troubleshooting stuff, like you might run into some command line errors where it's going to say such and such command is not valid, you can't do this or that. Like, it might send you an error that looks something like this, right? You might get some stuff if you start running trying to run some npm and node stuff. And so if that happens, you gotta do your environments. You gotta change your path variables. But anyway, go to this site, try this, and you can. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and install, we're going to initialize a node project. cd, okay, I'm going to cd into this folder we just created. There's many ways to do that, but you could do this. I think Control-C will work. And Control-V / and we just created a folder called JS YouTube. Okay, we're going to cd into that. And then from here, we're going to npm init. So when we type in npm init, it's going to think for a second. package name, JS YouTube. I'll just type it again, JS YouTube, that's fine. It's going to ask us all these other questions. I'm just going to click enter description. I could enter a description. Entry point index.js, so that's what our first, you know what, I'm going to call app.js. Okay. Our entry point will be a file called app.js. No Git repository, no keywords, no author, no license. Is this okay? Looks okay. Okay, so now we have a Node.js thing project. And so what we're going to do is, in order to get VS Code to do this thing, is I could, yeah, if I just type in code space dot, yeah, it's actually going to open up a new window. I'm actually not exactly sure how to just open it inside of this window. So I could just click X here. It's all the same thing. But anyway, yeah, we just opened it up. So yeah, now we have, yeah, this is our thing here. I'm actually not exactly sure why we don't have our main file created. I thought it would create it for us. But yeah, all this does is it creates a package.json for you. Our main is called app.js. And it I'm kind of worried. It's kind of thinking for a little bit too long. Let's open up a new terminal. Let's get a terminal going. Okay, so we're inside this folder. Okay, we could, if we want, start writing some source code. But I'm actually going to first, let me show you something. Let's just say we did console.log. I'm sorry, I'm making a lot of noise right now. Okay, let's go ahead and console.log like a hello world, okay. Hello world. We'll do Control S. Run here, down here, we'll just do. And then here, in order to excuse me, run and get this string literal, just do node. And then you gotta name the file app.js. Okay, so we got hello world. Cool. But I'm going to show you how to install this dependency that anytime we make a console.log up here and we anytime we edit our file up here, it's going to automatically run it for us. So we don't have to do this. We don't have to type in node app.js. So what you'll do is you'll do npm install Nodemon. It's a dependency called Nodemon. And there it goes. Okay, so we got it. And we could check our package.json. And there it is, Nodemon. We got Nodemon in there. And for here, we need to put in some programming. So what you do is you do npm run Nodemon. Or no, you do npm, got ahead of myself, run start. Right? We got to run this start script here. Okay, and there it goes. Shows us we just started up this Nodemon thing here. And if we go into our app.js, remember we have this console.log hello world. And so yeah, if we go into console.log, into this file app.js, let's say we make another thing, console.log testing Nodemon, and then we save this file, Control S, save it. You see how it will automatically run this for us. So I think this is a cool little tool to use, especially in development, so you don't, it might cut down on motion, so you're not fumbling around as much. So yeah, let's start running some code. Var, let, and const. And we'll try to get into the difference between var, let, and const. So let's start off with var. So var, it sounds a lot like the word variable, right? And it kind of is a variable. So let's say we do var example variable. Okay. And we'll set that equal to yeah, let's use a number. Why not? Let's have a number. 100. Okay. And we'll save it. We'll console.log. Okay, so we'll console.log this this variable, example variable. All right. We'll control S. Okay, so it showed us 100. But let's do var. Let's use this exact name again, and let's say equals 500. Okay, actually, I'm not even sure, to be honest, if we need these semicolons. Let's see if this runs without the semicolons. Control S. Okay, so it works. So look, when we use the var keyword, that means up here we can reassign it. We could say it's 100, but then we could say no, we changed our mind, it's going to be 500. Okay, so, and let's put it inside a function. So if example variable, let's say if example variable equals, let's say 500. Let's console.log example variable. So here it probably will print out 500 twice. So let's save it. Okay, so it printed out 500 twice. Now if we okay, so let's go ahead and reassign it again. Equals 1000. So I think what this is going to do is this is going to print out 1000, and then I think it's going to print out 1000 again. Okay, that's what it did. So when you use var, we can we can just keep reassigning this thing. We can reassign it outside of the scope of these brackets here, and we could be reassigning it inside the scope of the brackets here. But I forget the exact term, but JavaScript likes to read down line by line. And so when we come down to this line number 10 here, it's going to read this last one here. Okay, so that's our var keyword. Let me comment this out. Okay, to break down the difference between const and let, right here in this source code, you can see here we're using the const keyword. And even though we're using const, which presumably means constant, like you can't change it, this program does run. Because if we change const inside the scope of this function here, then it's good to go. Okay. Now if we just made a small change here, the program is going to get confused. So let's say control S. So we just made a small function. We went from double equals to equals. Assignment to constant variable at object.anonymous. type error. So yeah, you run into a type error when you use const and you do this. It's gonna want to see. I don't think it even wants to see the keyword const again. I think it's not even gonna want to see that. So if you use the const keyword, you're gonna have to watch out for type errors. You're gonna watch out when you use const. They're just more like stringent and kind of rules on how to use this variable that you're using with const. So instead we'll have to use the double equals or triple equals, and then it will run. Okay, so it will run this. It will set it to 200, right? It will say, but it's not really setting. It's just taking example number and it's just printing out the number 200. But then at the end, it's going to go back to reading this global thing. I guess you could call it up here, 100. Now let's show you the let keyword. We'll do let, and be specific here. Let's just run this let. Let's use let. Okay, let's show you let. See, when you use the let keyword, it will look exactly the same. It behaves exactly the same way as const. Even at the end here, when you use let, it's going to use this here. Okay, but when we're using let, if we do, instead of triple equals here, if we just do single, 1 equals, it's going to run. Okay, so when you use let, the rules aren't as particular about it. So I had this definition up here. Const is a signal that the identifier won't be reassigned. Let is a signal that the variable may be reassigned, such as in a counter or a loop. Okay, so you got to be careful using let and const. Again here, if we do example number equals, let's say 50, I'm pretty sure this will run, and I don't think it will look any different, will it? Yeah. So if you do this, it's going to still run. It's going to run just like if you hadn't done it. It's going to read this 100 here. Yeah, it's going to go with that. Now if we used const, it's going to automatically just start bugging out. Or maybe not automatically. Yeah, it's going to, even if we made this triple equals, and we do Control S, it's going to throw an error. Remember, with const, you have to be careful about what you type up here. Okay, but with let, it's gonna give you a little bit more space to do stuff. It's gonna give you a little bit more space. It even that's interesting. We restarted. Let's see, it printed out 50 here. Yeah, so just so what the program did was it read this thing up here 100, and then it went with and then it said we'll go with 50, and then it just printed out at the end of this, it printed out 50. But remember, if we put the let keyword in front of it, it's going to start giving us an error, which this is really tricky stuff. Now if we run it, it's another error. It's already been declared, right? So with the let keyword, you can't make a new declaration up here, but you can do this, which is kind of hilarious. But this is valid as long as you don't put the let in front. So yeah, this is trippy stuff. You gotta play with it, but it just seems like if you use the const keyword, there's a couple little extra rules about using it. If you use let, the rules are a little bit looser. And if you use var, there's like no rules. You can just keep reusing a variable with var. And again, this package.json. Let me show you how to navigate between different. This thing gave me an error here, so it's gonna. Let me try to close this. Will that work? Terminate. Let's terminate this batch job. Okay. So I just ran this Nodemon server, which was automatically running the console every time I saved this document here. So let's run a different package, npm run. Let's run our dev. Okay, so when we run dev, we're just going to be running basic node. Okay, well, we ran our dev profile, and it went into here and ran this thing here, which of course is an error. But remember, if we just turn it over to let, okay, and then down here we can just do our normal like node run app.js. Okay, it's gonna run that. So that's how we get out of, like, if you don't want to use your Nodemon, if you don't want this automatic stuff running, you can switch over by running npm run dev. Npm run this script here, this dev script. And let's say we created a new file here. Let's say main.js. And let's say in here we had a console.log. Here, let's say we had another hello world, basic stuff up here. And we'll save this. Okay, and let's say we would rather run this file up here, this main.js. Go to package.json, and we could say run. Oops. Why is my arrow? Kind of having a hard time today. Main. Control S. Let's see the terminal run this main file. Node main.js. Okay, you see it prints out hello world. So that shows you how we can navigate through these different files if we want to run different ones. Let's say we do, let's go mess with our Nodemon again. And let's say run main. Let's say we want to run that hello world. Yeah, let's control S. Let's save that. And let's do npm run start. If we say npm run start, we're going to run this Nodemon. It's thinking for a second. I'm kind of worried. My computer's thinking a little bit too long. But yeah, when we do Nodemon and we say main here, it's going to run this main file here. And remember, we had hello world in there. If we change this over to hello YouTube and we say control S, see hello YouTube. And if we do package.json and we run that other file we got called app.js, and we do control S, and then we're going to have to, let's just terminate this and we'll restart it. We do run start, and we'll go back to running that app file. Okay, 200. So yeah, get comfortable with that. If you're learning JavaScript, you can go on YouTube and go through all these kinds of JavaScript tutorials, but I recommend getting this Node.js running and then learning how to get this Nodemon app or this Nodemon dependency working. And really all you have to do is you do npm install Nodemon. That's it. You just click enter and it's going to automatically in your package.json, it's going to put it in your dependencies for you. And so hopefully that will help you learn JavaScript a little bit faster, so you're not fumbling around with the mouse and clicking on things as much. So yeah, if you liked the video, just like and subscribe, and happy coding.